Hello, welcome to part two. My name is Richard and thank you for joining. We're going to continue off the last video. So if you're just now watching this but you didn't last watch video, or if you're watching this one but didn't watch the last video, go ahead and watch that one. Today we're going to be wrapping up the registration and the login for a live app that will be put on the App Store. Here we go.
Okay, so thanks for joining us again. It's really just me, so I don't know why I keep saying us, but anyway, we're gonna jump back into this and we're gonna jump in where we left off in the end of part one, which is basically configuring, the error management system and being able to display errors to the users. So one of the interesting things about apps is if you think about it, like all the things that could go wrong, you have to make sure that you account for all of those issues in a way to display that issue to the user. If something goes wrong and the user isn't notified, they might delete the app, they might quit out of the app, which is obviously a poor experience and very, very bad for the developer. So what I'm doing here, and this red line that you see is like, this is just what's called a compiler error. When the system Xcode, the piece of software I'm using right now, tries to run my code and I get one of those big red lines, it means there's something wrong or I coded something wrong. And you'll get these often as a computer software engineer, and basically it helps you stay on track, and it can't build broken code. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically setting up an error management system, and I believe we're going to get into this when I overlay, and you'll be able to see my pretty face in a second.
Okay, so I just linked everything up. Now just ran a couple validations, right? So like if your passwords don't match, if there's not an email field, you're not allowed to register. I'm not even going to make a call to like the server, which is basically the database that handles everything. One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm just testing out to see, if the server responds with an error. So say like, the person has a password that is invalid, so it doesn't have like an uppercase or something, that error message will be transcended back into the user interface. Say this email is taken. So what I did was I just created like a mock error in the code, this Firebase auth error, which stands for authentication. So if I register, this should fail. Unable to register, the operation could be completed. Fit party error 0, please try again. So that's good. I want to make sure that this calls the localized description Firebase. It's interesting. I'm not 100% sure why that is the way it is. Unable to register. Yeah, so I'll mess around with this a little bit, but the good news is that the error came through, and I'm just trying to mock an error, so I don't mind if it's not 100% working, because I'm not going to be the one passing the error. It's going to be coming from a different service. So now we're going to go ahead and link everything up with an actual backend, and so when we start creating users, we should be able to see them start populating in our authentication table. So here we go. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to jump back into it, and we're going to actually start adding the logic to link up with Firebase server. And what I'm doing is, you can see I keep switching back and forth from Google Chrome, and I'm just looking at the documentation, which is like kind of the software engineering cheat sheet. There's other code that I'm referencing, so it's very well documented, and I just want to make sure that I'm writing everything up correctly and making sure I'm accounting for anything that I might have missed or didn't see the first time around. So that's what I'm doing here. As I'm building out these registration functions, as they're called, I'm also building out the user. So you can see the user is going to have an email and a display name. Makes sense, right? And that's all the information we're going to collect on users. Some apps collect a massive amount of location, but we really feel like it's better for the user experience. The less information you collect, the better. And it also just streamlines the whole process when you onboard, right? Just add your email, click next, that's it. So we don't ask for anything crazy, And yeah, so what you can see is these two functions that I'm writing up are going to be pretty much the same. Basically what they're doing is it's going to try and log in. If Firebase returns an error, then I'm going to basically inform the login and the registration view controllers of that error so that they can present them. if there's no error but there's no user return, then something unexpected went wrong. So I'm going to pass that back to the login registration. That way the user can see, hey, something went wrong, but we're not 100% sure what it is. And if everything goes correctly, then we'll be able to just pass back the user. So like when you log in or you register, if that is a successful login or a successful registration, Firebase is going to return back all of the user details that we're interested in. So like, the email and the display name, we can see the account creation date, stuff like that. So they're going to return that back to us. And then me as the engineer, it's my job to pass that information to login the registration controller and say, hey, this login was successful. Do whatever you want it to do now that it is successful. And that's what I'm setting up here. So what we're doing is basically now, once the login is successful or it's not successful, I'm basically adding what's called a listener, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It just listens for something to happen. And what it's doing is it's listening for some sort of change in the login and the registration status. So if you're logged in and then you log out, it'll detect that change and then handle it appropriately. So all we're doing is basically saying, okay, when the user logs in, we need to update the view to show the home view. If the user is suddenly logged out for whatever reason, either the app crashed or actually like the user just logged themselves out, then we want to present the registration screens again. So either they can create a new user or they can log back in. And that's what we're setting up right now. Okay, so you can see I keep switching back to this thing called the main storyboard. And what I'm going to start doing is building out the home view controller, which is going to be responsible for holding all the information about the user. So, the email name, the display name, and eventually it's going to have like all the actual functionality of the app. I can't get too much into that, but you can see here I'm editing the display name, the email, and then we're just going to provide some default values. So I'm going to call it email value, and then name value, add some text highlighting. So I want to make sure that the text is like bolded. We're going to go ahead and format it as such. And then what I'm going to do is, just like I did in the last video, I have to connect the user interface elements back into the code so the code can reference these elements and update them when they change. So the way this is all going to work, conceptually speaking, is, and it's very logic based if you can't tell by now, but when you log in, that login is going to be picked up by that listener. That listener is going to say, okay, now that we're logged in, present the home view. Once the login is detected, it's going to basically set the value of the user. So it's going to give all of the user attributes like the email, the display name. If the user has like a default favorite color, it would set all that up and basically notify anybody who wants to know about that user. So the home view wants to know about the user, and the home view is going to be listening for any change to the user. So you log in, the listener says, okay, I detected that login. Now let's set the attributes of the user. The home value is informed that the user values was just changed, and then it's going to go ahead and update the values that you see on the screen. So that is my way of trying to simplify what's going on here. And if you followed along, amazing. You're basically a software engineer now. If you are unable to follow along, no worries. And what you're seeing here is, oh, I got a yawn coming. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to test this out. And what's going to happen is it's actually not going to work. So, that error that I just got, that's what I was hoping to get. But now that I'm trying to register here, and then I'm like, wait, what's going on? Let me try and log in. And what should be happening is once I click register, that whole screen should just slide down and I should see the home view. And as you can see, I just opened up the app and the home view is shown, but the it doesn't detect the state change yet.
Basically, what's going on is once you're signed in, it should automatically detect that sign in, get rid of the sign in page, and then present you to the home screen, but it's not doing that, so we're gonna fix it.
Alright, so like I said, we have to fix that issue, and one of my favorite parts about software engineering is the fact that whenever you get a bug like this, they can be so frustrating, but at the end of the day, it can be something so small. So as you can see, I changed like those 5 lines of code into 1, and that actually is going to solve the fix, and I'm about to figure that out in about 10-15 seconds in this video. But I've already fixed the issue, and by now I've realized it. I'm just trying to add a log out button to be able to test it, because right now the user's logged in. I need to log them out, and when the second they log out, it should display the new interface to log back in. So I'm going to add this button, link it up into the code, just like that. Now it's all linked up. So now when I run this app, I should be able to log out and then log back in, and it'll show the home screen and then hide it. So this is going to be, I'm going to test it, and then I'm going to do the screen overlay again. You're going to hear me talk about it in real time when I was actually programming this. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
Let me just make sure I'm recording. Okay, we're getting somewhere. All right, so I don't know. Maybe we'll instant replay that. But I'm excited because it's the first time I've tried this method. I use it in background programming, which is programming when like an app is in the background, you can't actually see it. But now it's working literally perfectly for foreground programming, like programming on the main queue and such. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna build this. I'm gonna show you exactly how it works, and this is it. This is the end of the video right here. So if this works, when it works, I already know it works. So we're gonna sign out. Let's go ahead and log in. We'll log in as said person, Richard. Click log in. It's gonna log me in. Get rid of that view, and here you can see I've got these details updated. Let's try this. This is a live test. Let's try it with, my other email, and let's see how God, something happens. Well, that's not good. We don't want that. Select all, delete. Maybe let's go back. This is a terrible demonstration. I don't want passwords to be auto-filled. Password. Registers, changes the home page. Look at that. That's perfect. Okay, so thanks for watching. Thank you for joining today. That was the end of part 2. Go ahead and drop a like or drop a subscribe if you'd like to be up to date. If you'd like to be kept up to date, go ahead and drop a subscribe or a like. Really appreciate it. I'm releasing a video every single day this month because why not? It's coronavirus. Got to get something out to you guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. This is what I do for a living. And I always enjoy these speed programming videos. I think they're so cool. So let me know if you'd like to see some more of these. I have a lot of cool ones that I can post. I have a lot of recorded content on this. But now I'm really trying to post it. So hope you guys have a great day. See you tomorrow.